Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to Thursday. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in right away and say, obviously, Errol Otis isn't here. So if you came to the stream and you were expecting the Errol Otis experience, that is next Thursday. Errol had a dental emergency that kind of knocked him out of the arena. I hope he's at home and he's got some wonderful pain treatment for his tooth, and we will see him next Thursday. And because we kind of have a schedule change up. Hello, TXG, because this is the international sign language for schedule change up, by the way. You can use this. Anyway, because we had a change up of schedule, the deep dive we were going to start next week, we're going to do this week with N1 against the Cult of the Reptile God, and we're going to get to that. Doug, greetings. Your brother and you play a hybrid of first and second edition. That's awesome. Good for you, man. I always love hearing from old school folks, and at this point, and it blows my damn mind, and it should blow everybody's mind. Dig this. We're like this close to being as far from the inception of third edition now as third edition was from original D&D. So I kind of scoff and say, ha ha ha, you're not old school, to people who say, they started with third edition, but yeah, they kind of are. Think about Wargamers, Chit and Hex gamers, Sand Table Napoleonics guys who picked up D&D in their 20s in 1974. Now, imagine somebody born in 1980, 81, 82, 83, and in 2000, when they're entering high school, or maybe they're even younger and they're coming into middle school, their first blush with D&D is third edition. So truly old school is a matter of perspective as to where you are on the calendar, as for you subjectively, as much as it is an ethos. But to you people who started out with third edition or fourth edition, and you've come to this place, whether it's because I've been in my rants and bants about Wizards of the Coast, or just YouTube tossed me up there and you subscribed and you came by and you have come to embrace old D&D, original D&D, basic and expert D&D, Holmes Dungeons and Dragons, first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Welcome. I hope you brought snacks. All right. And I've said before, man, I am getting up on the pulpit. I am preaching the gospel early tonight. But I've said before, in our hobby, gatekeeping is good. We should gatekeep. And here's the gate. Let me tell you what, before you unsubscribe, before you report me, before you drag me on social media, here's the gate. The gate is, do you want to play Dungeons and Dragons? Do you want to learn old school D&D? That's it. All right. Leave your rucksack of politics and social issues just outside the door. I promise you can pick it. Nobody's going to mess with it. You can pick it up on your way out. That's the gate. That's it. It's an easy to come through gate. All right. But it's a gate that should be kept. Like, if you're looking for a merch lifestyle, not that I'm opposed to merch, my own, or you're looking for a scene to come in and be an influencer in, maybe this isn't your jam. Okay, maybe this is not the best arena for you. But I'm gonna tell you guys something. If you have a sincere wish to play classic Dungeons and Dragons, you're in a pretty good place and you're in good company. And who am I to tell you all these things? I'm Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, and this is my channel, The Delver's Dungeon, where we talk old school Dungeons and Dragons. That's what we do around here. So welcome one and all. I'm glad you're here. And please remember, this stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Because when we're talking old school, Hellebarde should absolutely be in that mix. Now, Hellebarde makes the kind of modules that they'd like to play, and they're all old schoolers, okay? I've known Don McVitie. I've known Lori McVitie. I've known the McVitie organization for a long time now. And whether it's Castles and Crusades, original D&D, or the OSR, old school is in play at the table. And you can check them out on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com, where right now, right this very minute, if you order their in-print 5th edition D&D products, that's paper, that's physical, that's, you can hold that in your hot little hands. Use the code 5EOOP at checkout and get 50% off your order. It's buy one, get one, boys and girls. 50%. That's right. One module? No. 2 modules. And that includes a mysterious swamp full of dangerous lizard men, a desert caravan trail full of adventure locales, and you might find a little module written by yours truly in there. And the beautiful thing about it is, because we know they've got the old school aesthetic vibe, you just got to convert them over. You just got to make a few notes, just put some sticky notes in that module, maybe slide a page of your own notes in there. So check them out, guys. Check them out. That's Hellebarde Games. Now, folks, if you're coming on board, if you're coming on board right now, again, if you didn't get the message, and I have tried to get the word out there. First of all, it's lovely to see this many people in the chat on a Thursday night when we're going to deep dive a classic module. Errol Otis will be here next Thursday. He had a dental emergency. Errol's going to be here next Thursday, and you don't want to miss that, guys. It's going to be an hour of Errol, or is it going to be an Errol of hour? But if you did miss that announcement, if you're like, "Wait, whoa, hold on, pump the brakes. Why did I not hear of this?" Guys, if you're not already, click subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications, and you can see that info. You can see those updates. And you're not going to miss that. Errol, our Otis. So anyway, but thank you guys for coming tonight. Thank you all. And again, please subscribe if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Please engage that YouTube engine, if you will. I see small content creators more and more suggested to me on YouTube. Like a guy who does vintage computers from like late 90s, early 2000s. Dude's got like 460 something subscribers. Okay. I comment the hell out of his videos because he's like me. He makes good. He's a small guy as far as subs, but he's making good content. But I know the thing that churns the engine is to make comments. So if you're watching this video later and you're just like, yeah, well, that's interesting. N1. Yeah. Leave a comment down below, please. That's all I ask. So we're going to look at N1 against the cult of the reptile god tonight. Now, the interesting thing about N1 is it is one of literally less than a half dozen pure first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons modules that is meant for the beginners. U1, The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, is one of them. T1, The Village of Hamlet, is another one. And then this one. Now, I think we can shadow include B1 and B2 in the mix because both of them state in their first edition print runs that with a little bit of modification, you can convert them over to AD&D. And indeed, because they were first crafted for the Holmes basic or Holmes introductory Dungeons and Dragons rules, which is itself meant to dovetail into AD&D. Sorry, you Holmes fans who, you've got your own thing. You've sort of mutated off into your own thing, and it's fine if you. It's fine if you are. It's fine if you are. But it is intended as a gateway drug to AD&D. So B1 and B2 we can also put in there. So we've got a collection of 5 modules, and N1 is one of the 3 definitively for AD&D. You don't have to do any maths to convert them. Well, good luck finding them, Vincent. And by the way, Vincent's talking about Jeff Lynne's vocals. I was cruising up the road the other day, just randomly shuffling through the contents of my phone, musically speaking, and wouldn't you know, it brought up "End of the Line" by Traveling Wilburys, which was, of course, Jeff Lynne, the late great Tom Petty, the late great Roy Orbison. I'm getting so tired of saying the late great George Harrison, and all of them singing in harmony on that. Oh, man, I was verklempt. eBay has them for just under $1 billion. Yeah. All right, so Trace is saying we don't play a lot of modules. Oh, nonsense. You guys live inside N6. You won't stop talking about it. You guys don't play a lot of modules. Nonsense. Anyway, so let's take a look then at N1, or N1 as I call it. I don't call it that. Now, it's I'm not going to start post-game analysis of it before we even crack the thing open. Let's get into it. I gotta pop this bad boy open. Because I'm prepared. You guys know how prepared I am. And we'll have a quick look at this, and you guys may see some other PDFs open there. That's my books and whatnot for D&D. But this is by Doug Niles. Now I almost feel like we should have had we should have had Heidi on, because Heidi Gygax was friends with Doug Niles. We're going to have Heidi and Eric on again real soon. They're doing gangbusters on their Kickstarter, by the by. You guys should check that out and back that. So let's go ahead and add this to screen. And again, if you're just popping in and you're like, oh, when is Errol Otis coming on? Errol is here next Thursday. Dental emergency took him out of the game. He'll be here next Thursday for an hour of really collegiate level D&D history, I think. But we're also going to talk about other things that he's doing. Is that a toy drill on the front of my desk? No. What this is this is a thirst blaster. This is the Nuka World Thirst Blaster from Fallout 4. My youngest daughter got that for me because I love playing some Fallout 4, and I wanted to be able to show it off to you guys. It doesn't work, though, it works as a piece of art, but it doesn't work as a thirst blaster. It doesn't work as a squirt gun, which I think personally is a missed opportunity by Bethesda Software. But what isn't a missed opportunity by Bethesda Software? So let's dive in. Let us dig in and take a look. So this is by Doug Niles. This is N1 Against the Cult of the Reptile God, and we've got some rockin' cover art by Timothy Truman. We got some lizard men. We got some explorers. Guy back there is going full Gandalf, getting ready to fight these dudes, or maybe they're troglodytes. Let's see, but let's look at this. Terror by night. The village of Orlane is dying. Once a small and thriving community, Orlane has become a maze of locked doors and frightened faces. Strangers are stunned. Trade has withered. Rumors flourish, growing wilder with each retelling. Terrified peasants flee their homes, abandoning their farms with no explanation. Others simply disappear. No one seems to know the cause of the decay. Why are there no clues? Who skulks through the twisted shadows of the night? Who or what is behind the doom that has overtaken the village? It will take a brave and skillful band of adventurers to solve the dark riddle of Orlane. This module is originally designed for 4 to 7 characters of 1st through 3rd levels. It includes a map of the village and description of its buildings and occupants, an overland journey to a challenging underground adventure for especially brave or foolhardy characters, and a list of pre-rolled first level characters. So right off the bat, we've got a value add. We have a town map. How often, guys, have I said there are too few urban adventures in AD&D that give us maps? Again, B2 if we want to stretch the definition of AD&D. A3, T1, and here, so if you're looking for a geomorphic resource, this is kind of it. But thank you for bringing it, Doug Niles. So let's get to it. So here's the village of Orlane. Not much to write home about, but that's okay. And like T1, we're going to look at some locales. 1 square equals 20 feet. Good ground square. A good ground scale, by the way. 1 square equals 20 feet. Because you go like 1 square equals 100 yard, and it's like a house has got to be like a quarter of a single square, right? Even 50 yards, your houses end up being like at most 1 square. But here, 1 square equals 20 feet. It's not an outdoor dungeon crawl, but at the same time, it's enough. It gives you enough room to fill the map. All right, so we already read the bloob. The bloob? I'm going to think about what I just said for a minute. We already read the blurb. And we've got this Timothy. Now, this is converted to black and white by TSR. This is not some manky scan. But I would imagine the original Timothy Truman drawing is probably like vibrant and gorgeous. It may be muted and gorgeous, but now Timothy Truman has done science fiction and fantasy art. He did stuff in BattleTech books. He did stuff in I want to say Hero System books. He had comic books he did stuff in. I'm pretty sure I saw some Marvel with Timothy Truman in it. Let's see. When I get 10,000 subs, will this be one of the adventures played at BillCon 2025? No, because it won't happen by 2025, and also it won't be called BillCon. It will still be called GWOC, except it'll stand for Great Underground Overland Gaming Convention. Don't make me come over there. All right. So we get to our intro. And in case you were wondering, yes, this is a Greyhawk module. Now, I always thought that was a pretty cool thing that developers wanted to put their modules in Greyhawk. But if you guys remember when we had Alan Hammock on the show, Alan told us the pressure came from the top. If you're going to write something for us, you got to put it in Greyhawk. So, whoops. So yeah, this I don't know that Doug originally wanted this in Greyhawk, but we've got our key over here on the left. It's for 4 to 7 characters, first through third levels, map of the town, description of the buildings, yada yada yada. Dungeon Master should read the module. Boys and girls, particularly if you're running an introductory module, odds are your players are introductory, right? I mean, you don't break out Keep on the Borderlands for the guys like me who've been playing for 50 years. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. I will. I'm just kidding you. But here's some important info, stat blocks, how you read a stat block. And this is very kind, not only to the new player, but the new DM, because it explains how to read a stat block here. And then we know that. We know all about that. This is Dorian and Elf. And by the way, that's a freebie. That's a free NPC right there. You can grab that. You can use that in another module. And you should. Oh, Vincent, I expect you to buy one of everything I make when I roll out merch. Did I tell you guys I was doing merch? Do you want me to talk about that real quick before we dive into the module? Let me know in the chat. Super chat me to let me know if you want me to talk about merch or about the module. So we get some DM background and we get into some Greyhawk lore. So let's talk about that Greyhawk lore. The border between Grand March and the Kingdom of Keoland has been a peaceful one for many years. In the western section of this frontier, stagnant bogs and slime-coated pools of the Rushmores occupy much of an otherwise fertile plain. To the north of the marsh, the dark recesses of the dim forest cause even the most stalwart travelers to think twice before entering among the tall trunks and dangling tendrils of moss. Only a few years ago, a group of adventurers opened a small caravan track through the previously untraveled dim forest. The track connects the towns of Hochach with Grand March's thriving capital of Hook Hill. Isn't that what they say at the end of Worker and Parasite? End at Hochach. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. The track cuts through a narrow finger of the forest, and traders have to take precautions against marauding creatures there. Ogres and goblins have been reported, and often in large and bloodthirsty bands, and only lucky or well-armed caravans can expect to make the journey in safety. So right there, your nascent dungeon master, you're given a little bit of something for the future. They make a little deposit in your when the party hits 4th and 5th level bank by giving you a hook. Goblins and ogres, right? Good stuff. Orlane itself was founded nearly a generation ago when explorers from Hawkok reported that the land between the Rushmores and the Dim Forest seemed to be extremely fertile. Soon after the arrival of the first farmers, a temple to the chaotic good goddess of agriculture, Marika, was erected. Merca. And thus the village of Orlane was born. The land here proved to be very rich, often producing crops half again as large as those grown in most mundane soil. Orlane quickly grew into a thriving community of 300 people. And it follows, if you know your geology a little bit, this is a very smart bit of engineering by Doug Niles. A swampy plain that slowly becomes more solidified is going to be agriculturally rich. You're going to have a lot of fertile soil deposited there by the water as it recedes and the plain firms up. That, you know, do you ever go for a swim like in a creek or river, and you get your hands down in the mud and it comes out, it's like rich and black. Well, it's nutrients, and that's what you're going to have here, and thus the village. Again, Doug Niles, big brain. All right, so let's move on. Occasionally, the settlers were harassed by bands of humanoids from the forest or strange scaly creatures from the swamps. These farmers were hardy folk, however, and were not intimidated by a few raids. Instead, they organized a well-trained militia. See, it's Merca. A well-trained militia to meet the assaults of the monsters with cold steel. It is America! The humanoids soon learned that Orlane was a village best left alone. They effed with them. They found out. A few goblin heads on stakes near the village will do that. Whoops. Throughout the past year, the population of Orlane has undergone a steady decline. Many farmers have packed their possessions and, for unknown reasons, migrated to other less fertile areas. Some homes have simply been found abandoned with food on the table or crops unharvested in the field. No explanation has ever been offered for these strange disappearances. Sometimes the families have returned in a week or two, and other times they've never been heard from again. The friendly character of Orlane has vanished as those who remain become superstitious of the strange occurrences. It's like a yard away from me, guys. Families have drawn in upon themselves, rarely conversing with their neighbors. Now, strangers in Orlane are more often met with questions and challenges than friendly invitations. Something sinister is at work in Orlane. I love it. Some of them, they're not sending their best. Some of them are fine people. I don't know. We're going to build a wall and we're going to make the dim forest pay for it. I need to polish up my Trump impression. It's starting to fade into Kennedy, which doesn't make any sense. Just a little bit. So here are our DM notes. The Cult of the Reptile God is an adventure divided into 3 parts. The first part includes the village itself with special maps for the Golden Grain Inn of the Slumbering Serpent, and the Temple of Merca. The second part outlines the adventures on the trail to the lair of the reptile god. The third part details the lair itself. The village of Orlane, Greyhawk map, hex 113K5. Thank you very much. And if I'd done my homework as your host, I would have had that pulled up, but there it is. Is a small community. See the map on the inside of the module cover. The buildings and village and their inhabitants are described in this booklet. The box part of each building description may be read aloud to the players by the DM as they describe obvious features that will be noticed at a glance. Generally, the players will only learn other information by questioning village residents or by exploring the area. The people living in Orlane will be identified as either reptile cult members or citizens. It's a lizard men. The lizard men have moved into Orlane. Listen to me, people. I tried to warn you. Unless otherwise noted, cult members are lawful evil, armor class 10 and level 0. They will tend to be curious about the party and perhaps even act friendly in an effort to determine what brings the group to Orlane. The cult has a secret sign made by pressing the right palm to the forehead. And members will often surreptitiously perform the gesture in order to identify new members. Of course, specific instructions in the key will always supersede these generalities. Okay, do you guys want the next paragraph as Alex? If you want the next paragraph as Alex, super chat me. All right? I'll give you just a second. Give you guys just a second. If you want the next paragraph as Alex, super chat me. It can be anything. It can be like a buck, you know. Palm the forehead. Yeah, well, how much do you want it, Damien? How much do you want it, Catfish Avenger? Do you want it $1.99 worth? Do you want it $5 worth? What? Let's see. I'll run the scroll across the bottom as a time. I tried to get a super chat of 69 cents, but I can't seem to get the resolution right on the slider. You might have to do $1.69, but I'll know what you mean. So that's one crawl by. This is getting awkward. There's dead air, so I'm just going to go ahead and press on. Let's see. Citizens are generally neutral good, armor class 10, and are level 0. As with cult members, exceptions to these guidelines are mentioned in the key. They will generally be suspicious and non-communicative. I like what Niles is doing here with this. The friendly, outgoing people are the evil cultists. The reticent, don't want to talk to you, you ain't from around here, is your boy. People are the good people. Let's see. Most citizens are puzzled and frightened by the change in the character of their community. Any attempt by a party to run roughshod over the entire village will result in their organized resistance, with the mayor taking charge. All citizens are worshippers of America, the chaotic good goddess of agriculture. A chaotic good god. Rich. Okay, Rich sent a 99-cent super sticker, so you get that paragraph. Citizens are generally good, armor class 10 and level 0. As with cult members, exceptions to these guidelines are mentioned in the key. I warned you, people. They will generally be suspicious and not communicative. Most citizens are puzzled and frightened by the change in the character of the community. Any attempt by a party to run roughshod over the entire village will result in their organized resistance, with the mayor taking charge. All citizens are worshippers of America, the chaotic good goddess of agriculture. There you go. You guys happy? All right. In many cases, people have been described at their daytime locations, children at play, farmers at work, and so on. These locations may be changed at the DM's discretion for evening and night encounters. Remember that people in a farming community tend to go to bed early, and rise early. It does say citizens are worshippers of Merca. The cult of the reptile god is being spread by a spirit naga. And guys, here we run into my biggest problem with this module, but we're going to get to it at the end. So, the cult of the reptile god, spirit naga, see monster manual. Below the fetid waters of the Rushmores extends a 2-level network of damp and dingy tunnels. This is the headquarters of the cult and the lair of the evil spirit naga that has installed itself as a god. Oh, Howard Hughes wants to. All right, I'm going to try this. My Trump is a little rusty. I haven't done a Trump impression. Victims who somehow resist this potent charm, I'm assuming they say versus paralyzation, remain in the dungeon. They are fed to the many hungry reptiles there or turned into zombies by the Naga's cleric. And look, people, let me tell you something. They're doomed to serve as mindless slaves. We don't want that. No, get that out of here. That's right. Get it out. Get it out of here. As mindless slaves. That's what they do in China. In the Naga's labyrinth, current prisoners will be released and the charmed victims will be freed if the party can defeat the Naga. Listen, we're going to have the best Naga defeat. It's going to be beautiful. First, however, the characters must discover how to get to its lair. This means investigating the local centers of cult activity, especially the Golden Grain Inn and the Temple of America. The party will probably meet Ramney, a local enchanter who can guide them. Otherwise, the DM can guide the player characters along as desired. A map in either center, a kidnapping party to follow, another NPC who acts as a guide, and so on. We hit the next issue with this module. Can you see it? Do you hear that slow chuff of a steam engine starting to roll? Yes. Against the cult of the reptile god is a railroad. It's not a sandbox. Okay? Let me tell you, one of my favorite Doom levels in any of the 3 official Doom map packs from id, Doom 2, I should say, is a city map. Called Odyssey of Noises. All right, Catfish, $4.99. Do you paid for it? You guys will get some. It's called Odyssey of Noises, and it is so much better than Downtown in Doom 2. If you know the map I'm talking about, you know the map exactly that I'm talking about. It is a massive urban map, of course. It's a hellscape, but there's different buildings you can go into. There's doors you can open and close. The only key grabbing affects like 2 places. I don't think there's a yellow key. I think there's just a red key. Or I don't think there's a blue key. I just think there's a red and a yellow. And it's fairly open. You can take it at you can immediately run and fight a cyber demon who's effectively a joke because he's standing on a plinth in the middle of a lava lake. And the lava lake has a wall around it. So it's and initially the first few times I played it, and I still love the map, don't get me wrong, I was like, wow, what a great sandbox. No, it's not. I have to fight that map. All right. Whether I take out the machine gunners or the chain gunners in the building over here, or fight the horde of monsters that comes rushing out when you go over a line def over here, I don't have an option to, like, I can't just completely bypass the map. There's no like rocket jump I can do that'll elevate me and propel me to another section of the game. I have to do it like that. It's a railroad. All right. You have to do certain things even though I can do them in whatever order I want. It's still a railroad, and so is N1. All right. I will find appropriate paragraphs to do Catfish Avenger as Alex Jones. I don't want to just like the whole module. First of all, it'll wreck my voice, and second of all, it'll get boring. So let's see. We're over to the next page. See, these deep dives aren't just like, page 3. 4 kobolds await in the alcove with spears. Next encounter area 2. 3 orcs stand in the darkened room. They are talking amongst themselves. They have a barrel of wine. No, I mean, we can have fun with these. Endless Quest books were great when I was a kid. The first few Dungeon of Dread and Dungeons of Dread, Pillars of Pentagarn, and the Ice one, the one where you fought, those were brutal. Yeah, you thought Choose Your Own Adventure was mean? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I think Gary was approving those. I never had Return to Brookmere was a good one. But I never had Revolt of the Dwarves. That was like missing I had a stack like that of those books, and I wish I still had them. A group of inexperienced but courageous adventurers has become aware of the change in Orlane through some vague rumors that have been circulating around Hawkok. The characters will at least know 2 of the following rumors before they plan the expedition. Roll D6 twice. If the same rumors roll again. A character who expresses an interest in learning more before the group sets out will be able to hear all of the rumors. And then we have the rumors. Well water throughout the village has been poisoned. False. A sinister and mysterious evil is at work in the village. True. A huge many-headed creature has been stealing children at night. False. A sorcerer from the Vale of the Mage has moved to the dim forest and is working foul enchantments there. False. Savage crocodiles are straying from the marsh. True. People in Orlane are being altered. True. And the changeling can be recognized by fang marks in their throats. False. The party will make its preparations in Hawkok, World of Greyhawk, purchasing supplies from the charts used in the player's handbook. If pre-generated characters are used, allow them 2 GP per hit point for buying supplies beyond their weapons and armor. In other words, Ruskin with 5 hit points would have 10 for torches, rope, or whatever. Magic users are assumed to be carrying their books with them. Again, railroad tracks. We have to do this. All right. They will start in Hawkok. They will buy their equipment this way. The adventures in Orlane are designed to be played over several gaming sessions. Generally, the player characters will not be able to advance in level without training, and the nearest training facilities are in Hawkok, several days' journey away. If the characters make the journey, the activities of the cult will continue in their absence. See the section on cult activities after the key to Orlane, which is good. That's at least a sign of a living world that the cult's not going to go, well, they'll be back in about a couple weeks to train. 4 days, about a month. Okay, I think I'm going to do this box text as Alex. Okay. Beginning the adventure, the journey to Orlane will be swift and uneventful. The DM can cover this with a few words of description. No. Kyle and I went through this. Overland travel. You got hexes. You got a whole world of Greyhawk. You populate those hexes. You give your party some adventure. Sorry, Doug. I'm overruling that. The DM may wish to require a traveling order here so that players get used to being on their guard. All right. Vincent, training covers a lot of stuff. You gain hit points. You learn to be a better fighter. You learn to be a better magic user. You gain more power. Trace Richards, have a lovely evening. Thank you. All right. Howard, there were like over a dozen endless quest books. I seem to recall the numbers going up to at least 14. All right, here we go. From Hawk. The real stream is quickly crossed across a shallow fort. You follow a caravan track that winds along the south side of a narrow creek. The plains here are flat and grassy. Occasionally, large cottonwood trees grow along the stream, but in general, the plain is unforested. What they do to the trees? What they do to them? No, you wouldn't listen to me. I warned you about the trees. For several days, you pass through an uninhabited region with no untoward experiences. That's what they want you to think. But folks, I'm here to tell you. Finally, staying always to the right of the creek. They don't want you on the right. Staying always to the right of the creek, the track enters a region of prosperous farms surrounded by fields of grain and pastures for cows and goats. That's how it should be. Early on the fourth afternoon of the trip, a cluster of buildings and trees becomes visible ahead with stone walls of a temple. A temple. Beyond Orlane, at the outskirts of Orlane, a large grove of elms is visible to the right, while several wooden buildings border the road to the right. Folks, it's black and white. It's as plain as can be right here. Stay to the right. I hope you guys appreciate that. I really do. I mean, I've gotten super chats and stuff for it, so you must. At this point, the adventure begins with characters entering along the track of the west edge of the village map. Commandeer 579, we'll commence again. And next piece, this is by, now I know so many guys love his art. Okay. I know so many dudes love the guy's art. He does fantastic sci-fi art and art in general. I'm just not crazy about dudes' fantasy art in D&D. I know, I'm sorry, that brand me a heretic. Thank you, Lightmane. Authoritative news network hopped in just in time to hear me Dungeons and Dragons via AJ. All right. The key to Orlane. Super chat if you want more box text is Alex Jones, by the way. The key to Orlane. Most of the buildings in Orlane have not been mapped. If the party chooses to enter one of them, the DM should describe a typical interior. Houses and shops will be 1 story in height and will have both front and back doors unless otherwise mentioned. Many buildings have porches. Let's see. So, pleasant farmhouse and barn. The wooden house is surrounded by an attractive flower gardens, a small barn beyond. A teenage girl is churning butter on the porch, but she sees your group approach and runs into the house. Shadowy forms are visible behind closed curtains. The farmer, Hewitt Twain. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Damien. Anyway, the farmer Hewitt Twain and his 2 grown sons, armor class 10, hit points 5, 4, and 4, will watch strangers suspiciously through the windows while the wife and daughter hide in the kitchen at the rear of the house. If anyone stops, Hewitt will do all of the talking. Hewitt was made for talking, and that's just what he'll do. One of these days, old Hewitt's gonna come and talk to you. Doom, 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 doom. And that's how we get content flagged. I can't do Art Bell. I cannot do Art Bell. I'm sorry. Like, for me, there's no Art Bell voice. He just sounded like a dude. You know? I'm sorry. Let's see. If anyone stops, Hewitt will do all the talking. He will be polite but quiet. He will never allow strangers inside his house. Hewitt understands that his town has changed drastically, but he does not know why. His barn is well stocked with corn and wheat, and a dozen goats are pinned in the back. Beneath the planks in his bedroom floor, he has stored a sacks with 54 gold pieces, 86 electrum pieces, and 240 silver. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more taste of Alex here. Gold. Hewitt knows what to do. He's buried his gold. Gold is something you can invest in. Folks, we're in the time of the beast. You won't be able to buy and sell unless you have gold. All right, that's it. I used to actually be able to. What is his name? Glenn Beck. Don't ask me to even try it. I've lost my ability to do Glenn Beck. I used to be able to launch into a Glenn Beck that was just par excellence. My Arnie is, it's mid. It's like everybody's Arnie. Hey, don't bullshit me, all right? Constable's quarters. This nondescript square wooden building has heavy shutters closed over the windows. The door looks stout, but stands open. See, that's... no people are visible. Behind this building is another long, low structure. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Cult members. Inside is the constable, Grover Ruskadal. He's a second level fighter and has all of that. Banded mail, shield, broadsword, shield, longsword light crossbow. He has been a cult member for 8 months. With him are 2 other men who have recently arrived, ostensibly to visit him. The newcomers are also cult members. We have Donovan Allard and Holbar Onfrey. Very little Beak Gwenders here, Doug. You should have gotten that book that I never remember the title of that Gary got. No, I can't do Giuliani. I've never even tried it. Let's see. If they are held, Grover will do most of the talking. He will try to find out what the characters are doing in town, how long they plan to stay, and so on. He will try to disarm their suspicions. They're coming for your guns, people. He will try to disarm their suspicions and warn them to stay out of trouble. His friends will support him later if the 3 become aware of a group asking too many questions. They will attempt to intimidate the party into leaving town. Grover keeps a sack on his desk that contains 21 gold pieces and 88 silver pieces. That's 10 pounds of gold. There's empty barracks there. They used to be occupied by guards for the caravans traveling through the dim forest. Dairy farm owned by Mr. and Mrs. Dairy. Let's see. This house and barn are clean, whitewashed wooden buildings. Several cows chew their cud outside the barn. There are 3 little girls playing in the yard of the house, and they stop to gawk at your group. The girls are not yet old enough to be afraid. There's a 75% chance that an older sister of the girls will see any strangers on the road and will rush outside to hustle the little ones in. Oh, wrong hustle. Regardless of how this encounter starts, the party should eventually meet Noel Graven, the dairyman, armor class 10, 5 hit points, who will be in the barn. He has been blessed with 5 daughters who share the house with him, his wife and his mother-in-law. He's a kindly man. He'd have to be. And if his judgment tells him that the characters are friendlies, he might even invite them in for tea and cheese. He is concerned about matters in Orlane, but can offer no explanations. He has loot in a milk can in the barn. Yeah, not sure if Arnold or Rainier Wolfcastle. Yeah. Well, Rainier is like deeper and more drawn out. because it's a parody of Arnie. You know, it's supposed to be a parody of Arnie. The Weaver's house and shop, a sign with a spinning wheel and loom, hangs outside this new building. Several bales of wool are stacked. No people are visible. This is Galen Weaver, the Weaver. Runs his large loom while his wife works a spinning wheel, many piles of wool and yarn, etc., etc., etc. He's a young man, newly married, and moved to Orlane, trying to make a go of his first business. His wife is attractive, and they are both friendly. If questioned, they will respond that people are strange hereabouts, but they know of no other reason for their neighbors' aloofness. They'll welcome the chance to talk to outsiders, even inviting a small group in for a glass of wine if the time of day is appropriate. 'Tis 5 hours past the midday in some location, my lord. Damien, I think that's up to you as a dungeon master. Let's see. If questioned, they will. If the conversation continues for a while, they will warn strangers that the Golden Grain Inn is a strange place to be avoided, if at all possible. I do wonder if Doug wasn't maybe having a dig at McDonald's there, but I guess we'd have to ask him if we ever had him on the show. Would you guys like me to see if I can get Doug Niles on the show? Let me know in the comments. I get no respect. I tell you, I get no respect. I don't say my kid is stupid, but he ran in the house holding a handful of dog crap and said, "Daddy, I almost stepped in this." That's not a good Dangerfield either. The Golden Grain Inn. The Golden Grain Inn. This is a large wooden inn. It is decorated with carvings of sheaves of wheat along the eaves, sheaves and eaves, along the eaves of the roof. The inn was whitewashed at one time, but much of the paint has peeled. A sign picturing a cluster of wheat and pitcher of beer or ale hangs over the door. A corral and stable, apparently empty, are off to one side. If the characters go in, the DM should turn to the description of the Golden Grain Inn following the key to Orlane. A complete map of the inn is also provided. Jeweler and Money Changer. This is a gem-encrusted ring is pictured on a sign outside of this establishment. The doors and windows are open. The building is small but looks extremely sturdy. The shutters and doors are of heavy wood reinforced with iron bands. Thank goodness I read that right. For a second, I thought Doug Niles had lost his mind. Haskell All, the jeweler money changer, tries to make a living from the travelers passing between Keoland, Grand March, Bissell, and Jeff, who require his services. His business has fallen off considerably. After dark, his shutters will be locked. Haskell and his overbearing wife. It notes she has a strength 16. I'm not going to say anything. Hey, Bards of Greyhawk, what's happening? Hey, Bards, you're going to, I'm assuming, Rich, is that you? But anyway, I'm assuming you're going to be here next week for the Errol Otis interview. It'll be great to have you here because you can ask him your question about album artwork directly, which that's a little point of trivia. The like stoner metal band. I think they're stoner metal. You guys will have to tell me. I've never listened to note of their music, but now that we have YouTube, I probably should. The Lord Weird Slow Fade has an album cover done by Earl Otis. So they're at the oh, I missed something. So he has two guards. He has those are the two guards. I was like, whoa, where are these guys coming from? So here's his two guards. Errol Rockland and Wiley Dunn. The latter is posing as a fighter, but is actually a cult member waiting for the right moment to betray his employer. Haskell is skilled at working with stones and soft metals and will negotiate a reasonable fee for this work. He exchanges types of currency for a 5% charge in a metal box in his office: 50 platinum, 250 gold, 400 electrum, 800 silver, 800 copper, and 30 gems. With all those values listed there. In addition, 4 works of jewelry are displayed in a shop and locked in the box at night, worth 14,800, 400 times 2 of those. He has several locked chests beneath the secret trapdoor in his bedroom. 2,000 gold pieces, 2,000 electrum pieces, 2,000 silver pieces, 2,000 copper pieces, 500 platinum, 5 gems worth 1,000, 500 gold pieces, and 100 gold pieces on the gems. Each of the chests has a poison needle and lock. The jeweler carries the keys on a thong about his neck. His guards do not know about the chests. So he's got money he can change. He can, break small bills, if you will, that sort of thing for player characters. And I should point out, as I've always said, guys, regardless of module, like, this is a ton of plot hooks here, okay? This is a ton of great plot hooks, and you should not sleep on these. It is kind of T1-like. It is kind of T1-like. I did say thong. And I think we're probably going to wrap it up tonight at the livery stable because we've run an hour in front. Okay, so summer officially started in Florida because it's no longer January, obviously. But I haven't readjusted fans and stuff in here, and I am broiling under these studio lights. So we're gonna wrap up here in a second. Livery stable. This is an exceedingly rundown structure of wood. Faint traces of a former paint job cling to small parts at the walls, but in some places the bare wood has started to rot. A fenced walkway leads from the road to the back of the house, and horse manure is scattered liberally about. It's the liberals! A little boy, his face covered with the dirt, is playing on the front porch. As he approaches, he toddles out into the road, smiles, and says, "Hi!" It's the village stable, as the characters' noses will already have suggested. Much of the ground has been trampled into mud. The front of the dilapidated house is sheltered by a wide porch. All appearances to the contrary, the liveryman is quite well-to-do. He is simply not concerned with presenting a front of wealth and polish. The liveryman, Killian Gade. I'm sorry, that's an 80s action movie villain. I think Sylvester Stallone killed him. I'm pretty sure Arnold threw him out of a jet plane. Killian Gade. His wife and their 3 small children. The wife is timid, but there's an 80% chance that she will see her son talking to strangers. If so, she will rush out to collect him, staring at the party with fearful eyes as she snatches him up. If a character makes a friendly comment, she will stop embarrassed and mutter some explanation about mealtime. She will then dash into the house with the child. Turn off my lights again. Just sit here in the dark. I'm cooking, dudes. Let's see. Killian is at work in the stables, but his wife will call him after any encounter with strangers, and he will hurry out to the house. If the party is still in front when he gets there in 2 rounds, he'll step out to apologize for his wife's hastiness. These are strange times, you understand. Unlike many Orleanians, he is affable and willing to carry on a conversation. He will, however, keep his guests on the porch. Killian cannot explain the forces at work in the village, but he is very observant. After some small talk, he will begin to share his knowledge. He is suspicious of the 2 strangers who moved into the cottage across the road, Area 9, several weeks ago. They don't seem to be interested in mixing with anybody. It's a local village and a local shop. Yeah, let me know if you know that one. He shares the Weaver's apprehensions concerning the Golden Grain Inn and will recommend the Inn of the Slumbering Serpent for its superior wine and friendly atmosphere. After an hour of conversation, he will mention his neighbors at the general store. They up and disappeared a couple of nights ago, gone for nearly a fortnight. Then the whole family came back, didn't even leave one of the boys to mind the store. His stable contains those horses, and his life savings is buried in a wooden box in the farthest stall of the stable. So I hope you guys are enjoying the deep dive on N1. I certainly am. And yeah, it's an interesting village. There's lots of adventure hooks here, guys. Sleepless model. I actually forgot. Yeah, there you go. Robert Phillips nailed it from the 3-point line. Yeah, I know Damon Killian from The Running Man. I was just that name, you know. But anyway, so tomorrow night, I think we'll continue on with this in the preamble ramble. We're making a good, we're making good time on it, even though I'm joking around with the Alex Jones voices. Medicated Dungeon Master. Just turn the lights off. You're not watching me anyway. Get your W key fixed, by the way. Royston Vasey, you'll never leave. I think Royston Vasey would make a good adventuring town. Everyone there is chaotic evil. Everyone in Royston Vasey is chaotic evil, except for the rock musician, the prog rock musician that you just want to cry about. You're very welcome, Catfish Avenger. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Sign up for the Great Underground Online Gaming Convention. Monday, I will have an announcement about merch. We're going to have merch. I will actually, no, it may not be Monday because I've got a lot of stuff, but a merch announcement and prototype merch and the merch designs are coming up soon. In modules, revolving cults require the Alex Jones voice. Oh my God. Anyway, listen, I'm going to tell y'all something. You got to have a good evening. You got to have a wonderful evening because I love you all. I love you all. You're my audience, and I need your help. I need your help, folks. There are forces at work in this country trying to stop us from playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And you have to fight. You have to pray. Say, Lord, help me. What do I do? All right. Have a lovely evening, guys. And I think we're going to give my voice a rest. And I am going to play you guys out of here with some Owl Bear. Love you all. Have a good one. Good night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.